Hey guys, you're watching PhoneArena's in-depth video review of the Motorola DROID 2 A955. It's available right now through Verizon Wireless, and it sports a contract price of $199, so it falls in line with pretty much other handsets we've checked out of late. This is the successor to the highly popular Motorola DROID, which was released last fall. And again, that device brought Android to the mainstream. The DROID 2 does sport a similar design, as you can see, but we'll check it out and see what it has to offer over its predecessor. It seems like Motorola didn't tinker around with the Motorola DROID 2's design because it remains faithful to the original. As you can see, it's basically the same. Instead of some angular lines, it's a little bit more curved all around, especially on the sides here. It retains the slide app QWERTY keyboard form factor. It's a very thin device, although if you look on the spec sheet, it's slightly larger, but not that much at all. We like this choice of materials. Once again, this time around, they have this chrome-like bezel all around the handset, which makes it look really nice. And on the back, it still employs that soft touch coating material. Even though it might look like it's color black, it's like a shade of dark blue, to tell you the truth. It does have a fantastic construction. No doubt it's built like a tank once again, and definitely like the feel of the handset. Even though it might be a little bit heavier, you definitely feel that it's a premium device. Now, as far as the display is concerned on the DROID 2, it's actually the same exact one found on the original DROID. So it measures up at 3.7 inches and has a resolution of 480 by 854 pixels and support for 16 million colors. So it does well. It's fairly detailed, especially when you consider the pixel density it has. You'll be able to read text. It's very sharp and clear, and when using it outdoors, you're still able to see everything. It has pretty good viewing angles as well. Below that, you have your touch-sensitive buttons, same exact ones found on the original DROID again, but instead the button placements kind of change. Still though, we found ourselves to accidentally press them when we're using the on-screen keyboards. On the left-hand side, you have the micro USB port, same spot as last time, and on the right side, you have your dedicated shutter key. This time, it's a little bit smaller. It's not as big as the original one. You have your volume rocker here, and on top, you've got a 3.5mm headset jack with the dedicated power button. Once again, still kind of small, a little bit hard to make out. And on the back, you have the 5-megapixel autofocus camera with dual LED flash. The bottom here, you have the same grill found on the speaker from the original. And this time around, Motorola did address the issue with the back coming off when it's in the pocket, so it's a little bit harder to remove it. You just gotta slide it down this time, but you definitely notice that it's on there really good. It'll give you access to the battery and also the micro SD card slot. Love it or hate it, we're actually presented with the same exact QWERTY keyboard that's found on the original Motorola DROID. You still have to manually push the device up to get it to click into place. We were hoping to see something a little bit more automatic, but it works well still, and we don't have too much complaints about it. But as far as the keys on the keyboard are concerned, they're a little bit bubbled towards the middle, so you get a little bit better distinction when you're typing away. They're still kind of flush to the surface, which provides for the streamlined look of the handset. But after time, at first it's a little bit stiff when you're pressing it, but over a period of time, you definitely get a decent tactile response with it. And gone is the 5-way directional pad. You are now presented with 4-way directional arrows, and some of the buttons got a little bit larger, such as the enter key and even the shift key here. Overall though, the keyboard is still pretty good. It's okay, not the best out there, but it'll get the job done. There's actually a 1 GHz OMAP processor under the hood on the DROID 2, and has 512 megabytes of RAM, and it's running actually Android 2.2 Froyo, so it's going to provide for the most up-to-date experience out there. It's great just because it's very responsive, very quick too. On the bottom here, you have these dots. You could quickly jump into the 7 different home screens that you have, and as you can tell, it is very responsive, and it's running pretty quick too. So if we open up the app tray here, I'll show you that in a second. You can tell all the icons are on there, and you could just see how smooth they're actually moving. It's very fluid. And there's a lot of social networking stuff integrated with the platform, and it has the same interface that's found on the DROID X, so it's not as obtrusive as the Moto Blur interface, but it works well for this type of handset. And we know that people will probably like it just because it integrates a lot of different aspects that we love about Android. So one of the most sought out features with Android 2.2 Froyo has to be its support for Flash 10.1. And as you can tell, our website here, which took a little bit over 30 seconds to load up, there are some flash-based content, such as the advertisement, that are playing perfectly, just like what you see on the desktop. Now, the DROID 2 provides for a great experience as far as web browsing. You could double tap to zoom in. As you can tell, it automatically resizes the text to fit the length of the page, which is great. You could even do multi-tap gestures to zoom in or zoom out to specific zoom levels. And as you can tell, scrolling is pretty smooth, and you could just zoom in a little bit more. Thanks to the great resolution of the screen, you could read out text even if it's really small. So it definitely provides for an optimal experience as far as web browsing is concerned. And with Flash 10.1 support, it's only going to get better. Naturally, most people probably gravitate towards using the physical keyboard to type away your messages, but thankfully there are a couple options available to you. You have the on-screen keyboard here, which is a little bit cramped. It's the stock Android one. It's multi-tap enabled too, just like the DROID X, and it's fairly responsive. As you could see, it doesn't slow down or have any noticeable lag, but as we said, it's very cramped, so people with larger fingers will have a little bit difficult time typing away. The second option is the swipe keyboard, which after a while, if you master it, it works fairly well and very responsive. Sometimes we definitely prefer this for the on-screen method. But of course, if you tilt it to landscape, you'll be presented with the best option, a little bit more spacious keyboard, whether it be the swipe or even the on-screen key or the stock Android keyboard. The gallery app on the DROID 2 is the same exact one employed on the DROID X, so it's going to show you both your photos and videos. The neat thing about it that we like is that if you tilt it to landscape, it's going to give you this 3D-like effects as you're scrolling through all your photos, which does provide for some nice effects, and just shows the power of the processor on the device. The DROID 2 won't have any problems playing any videos just because of the fast processor on board. It's able to just play it very smoothly with no evidence of any lag. Right now we have a movie encoded in MPEG-4 1280 by 720 resolution. As you can tell, it's running pretty smooth, no evidence of any slowdown or choppiness. And to tell you the truth, with the great resolution on the screen, it makes for a decent experience on the handset. As far as capturing photos with the DROID 2, it actually sticks with the same exact 5 megapixel autofocus camera and also has the dual LED flash. Same exact thing found on the original DROID. Unfortunately though, it didn't receive any bump in specs, but thankfully the picture quality is pretty decent. There's no touch to focus, unfortunately. You can move the focus level to different portions of the screen if you like, but it's really simple. You just got to hold down the shutter key slightly, press it down, and push it all the way to take the shot. Now, quality is pretty good, but it still kind of look kind of dark or overcast in pretty much any lighting condition. And when we use it indoors in low lit conditions, there's a tendency to be some noise in the images. The flash does help a little bit, but you notice the colors to be somewhat a little bit washed out looking. So after checking out handsets like the iPhone 4, the HTC Evo 4G, and even the Motorola DROID X, it's kind of disappointing to find that the DROID 2 lacks 720p high-definition recording. Instead, it resorts to the same old DVD-like quality, which will provide for a 720 by 480 resolution. Granted that there is an improvement to be found, which is found in the capture rate. It's actually at 29 frames per second as opposed to 24 frames per second on the original DROID, so it makes for a lot smoother videos and less jittery compared to the original. Overall though, it's still decent just because it has a good amount of quality, and as you could tell, it's very smooth. Calling quality in the Motorola DROID 2 is a mixed bag. First of all, the earpiece produced some strong tones, so it made it very easy for us to hear our callers, but there was some evidence of some static to be heard. On our caller's end, they said our voice sounded rather weak and also choppy, so a little bit of a tough time for them hearing us. When we switched over to using the speakerphone, though, it provided some really strong tones, so it made it very easy for us to hear. But when we placed it to its loudest volume setting, it produced some muffled sounding voices, but if you set it down to the middle, it'll provide the most optimal experience. As far as signal strength with the handset, it managed to retain a solid connection to the network. We didn't drop any calls during our testing, and on top of that, we didn't see too many times that it fluctuated. Battery life, though, it's typical of just like the original Motorola DROID. We managed to get at least 1 day's use out of the handset, which would be more than adequate for most people, but just expect to recharge it as much as you can, especially if you're a heavy user. So the DROID 2 takes the safe approach of being a true successor to the Motorola DROID by improving the hardware while retaining the look and feel of the original Motorola DROID. Now we do like the fact that it's still a streamlined looking device. We do like the curved edges all around the handset, and the quality construction just embodies a premium handset. The keyboard also has a slight improvement just because they're a little bit more bubbled towards the middle, so it'll offer a pretty good experience. But the true improvements can be found under the hood with the 1 GHz processor and of course Android 2.2. So when you combine those two things, it makes for a great experience. But when this device is priced at $200 on contract, you're pitting it up against devices like the iPhone 4, the Galaxy S, the Evo 4G, and even the DROID X. And when you compare this to the DROID X, it doesn't feel as compelling as far as on paper, just because it has a smaller screen. The DROID X has 720p video recording, and of course an HDMI out port, where the DROID 2 lacks those features. But if you require a physical keyboard and you'd rather do that, then yeah, this is going to be a great device for you. So in the end, it might not be as groundbreaking or as awe-inspiring as the original handset. It's still a great device, especially for Android, even more so if you're looking for something that's compact and even sports a physical QWERTY. So if you'd like to learn more about this handset, or for all the latest cell phone reviews, news, specs, and information, you can check us out at phonearena.com.